Native people, Native culture, Native knowledge. Hi, I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you award-winning Heartbeat Alaska.
Bringing you national and international Native news, this is award-winning Heartbeat Alaska, the premier Native voice in Native programming.
There's a heartbeat, louder than thunder, revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool to care?
Now, with Heartbeat Alaska, here's Jeannie Green.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native news and Native entertainment. So glad to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we travel to the northern village of Ruby, Alaska. We travel south to warm up with powwows across America, and we take a look at Gary Fife's homeland, Oklahoma. Here's Gary now with Native news across the nation. I'll be back right after that, so don't go away.
This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife, and greetings for the new year, 1997. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has launched an investigation into misuse of its monies allocated for Native housing projects across the nation. In recent months, tribal housing authorities at several reservations have been accused of using the low-income program monies to build themselves fancy homes or use the money for tribal housing projects for people who far exceeded income guidelines. In another move towards their own Native self-determination, Native leaders in Canada have opened their own national bank. Tribal leaders say they needed to become more active and stop being outsiders to the banking world. They hope the new Native financial institution will provide seed money for other Native development. The state of Alaska has made its move in an effort to overturn a federal appeals court ruling that said tribes in Alaska have the powers as their cousins do on reservations in the lower 48 states. Alaska is asking for a full 11-judge consideration of the decision made in November of 1996. They contend that the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, ANCSA, was clear in conveying native lands to corporations instead of tribal governments. On the health front in Washington, the Yakama Nation has launched a new plan to reduce the incidence of diabetes among Native women there. The Yakama Nation Review reports the tribal program will focus on women 40 years of age and older. They will provide activities that will help the Native women manage to live with the disease, and they're using a community garden as a way to change the dietary patterns and help with that project. We'd like to thank those of you who have been sending your Native information, your news, and your videotapes. We certainly appreciate it and do enjoy sharing it. We'll be right back after we tell you how to do that with more Native news across the nation.
Contact Heartbeat Alaska with your news. Heartbeat Alaska, 5861 Arctic Boulevard, Unit B, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. That's Heartbeat Alaska, 5861 Arctic Boulevard, Unit B, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. Or give us a call at 1-907-563-7440 or fax us at 1-907-563-9309. Heartbeat Alaska, your news is our news.
Native peoples have known them, practiced them, and recovered with them, that is, Native traditional healing methods. And now the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized them. News from Indian Country reports the VA has sent checks and reimbursements to Navajo traditional healers who have contributed to the health and well-being of Navajo veterans. In Kansas, a local county commission says a road can be built through the campus of Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, despite opposition by the school and its student body. The road is intended to relieve local traffic snarls and would cut across the southern end of the campus. The natives say they'll lose an important religious site, and they are unfairly shouldering the environmental burden. The Macaw tribe of Northwest Washington is still pursuing their dreams of bringing back their ancient tradition of hunting whales. Now the small tribe has established its own whaling commission. It'll be composed of the heads of the traditional Macaw whaling families. It's been 7 decades since tribal whalers last sent out after the gray whale, and now they say they want to harvest 5 whales. They say the hunt is guaranteed to them in tribal treaty rights, and they want to harvest the whales for their subsistence and educational purposes. Opponents say the hunt is an unnecessary throwback to ancient times and is cruel. And finally, the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma has honored and commemorated the work of their famous ancestor and tribal educator, Sequoyah. This fall, the tribe dedicated an 8-foot-tall bronze sculpture to the Cherokee man who developed a syllabary that enabled tribal members to read and write in their own language. Transcribed on the statue are the words he lived by to educate his fellow Cherokees, a simple phrase, "The leaves say it." We want to say thank you to all of you who have been watching our program, and we look forward to the coming new year. This is Native News Across the Nation. I'm Gary Fife, and back to Jeannie and more, Heartbeat Alaska.
Thank you, Gary. It's nice to have you back after your holiday vacation. Last summer in Ruby, Alaska, the village was shocked and horrified when one of their most beloved residents was slain. Recently, a building was dedicated to Agnes Wright.
This is Halloween. Agnes loved Halloween. Wore her costume all day at work.
They miss her very much in Ruby, Alaska, a small northern village in the interior of Alaska. Her name was Agnes Marie Mvskoke Wright. She died on June 20th, 1996, at 32 years of age, at the hands of a stranger. She left 3 children, Genesee, Nicole, and Darren.
I'd like to dedicate this building now to Agnes Marie Wright. Thank you very much.
In Ruby, Alaska, a building was dedicated to Agnes Wright. The perfect building, it's a gathering place, a center for fellowship and fun. Agnes would have approved of this building. She was once a vital part of this community and was instrumental in getting holiday celebrations organized for everyone in the village. She's dearly missed. She put her energy and her heart into everything she did. And even though she did not organize this event, Agnes Wright brought the community together once again. A building named in her honor, a place to gather, to fellowship, to celebrate life.
Thank you, Edna Peters from Ruby, Alaska, for sharing that news on Agnes Mvskoke Wright. Travel with me now to the lower 48 and warm up with me on the Powwow Trails.
I'm an Oglala Sioux and Delaware Indian. My name is Chad Kilscrow. My Indian name is Tokalazi, which means yellow fox. Dancing, I was 2 1/2. A couple of years ago, I started grass dancing, and I think I'm pretty comfortable with that, as well as traditional dancing. It's fun and fast. You can really get into it. I think about my moves, what the next move is going to be, how it's going to be, how quick it's going to be, and if it's the right move at the right time, when the song stops, and staying in rhythm with the drum and concentrate and keep my mind on what I'm doing and not the audience and anybody else. Just keep my mind on what I'm doing.
From our ancestors to the elders, who pass our sacred traditions to the children of our people. We continue our knowledge from our children to the unborn as we dance and honor those at the gathering of the Powwow. And with our dance, we teach our children so they may never forget.
Yeah, it's a celebration.
From the Powwow Trails to Oklahoma, let's visit with the Muscogee Creek, Gary Fife's tribe.
Like other Indian nations, the Muscogee or Creek Nation traces its roots far back into the mist of prehistoric times. Ancient times, the Muscogee migrated eastward toward the rising sun. They settled in the southeastern region of North America in what is now Alabama and Georgia. There they established tribal towns along the rivers and streams that snake through the land. My people became successful farmers and hunters in those days. They built large ceremonial mound complexes at the center of the towns for religious ceremonies and council meetings. Modern archaeologists have uncovered vast quantities of ornately designed artifacts from these locations: engraved shells, copper plates, stone pipes, and other manufactured goods reveal a highly organized order of civilization. Long before the white man came, the Muscogee people had formed a powerful union of tribes, or bands, called the Muscogee Confederacy. At one time, their capital was located on the Ocmulgee River in what is now Georgia, and representatives from each tribal town met in council there. Agriculture, art, trade, and other activities of the civilization flourished. The annual green corn ceremony was held each summer in the town squares, and regular stickball games were played on the town ball fields. Then, in 1540, Hernando de Soto, a Spanish explorer, and his army swept across the Muscogee lands. It was the first time the Muscogee had encountered Stehetki, the white man, and things haven't been the same since. In the centuries that followed, immigrants from Spain, France, and England came to settle the lands of the New World. Because my people built their towns near waterways, the British called us Creek Indians, a name that has remained with us to this day. In the 1700s and 1800s, first the Europeans and then the Americans greedily cast their eyes on the lands of the Creek people. Then the Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced the Creek people to give up their homelands in exchange for a new home west of the Mississippi River. Over 4,000 of my people died during the well-known forced migration that followed, the Trail of Tears. They marched through the bitter cold with little food or water to their new life in Indian Territory. Once in Indian Territory, the industrious and determined Muscogee began the difficult task of rebuilding a nation in the unfamiliar land. Today, the Muscogee Creek Nation has a revitalized tribal government. A new constitution ratified in 1979 guides tribal affairs. And the modern Creek Nation Tribal Complex houses the many offices and programs that benefit Indian people. The Creek Nation Housing Authority, the Solomon McCombs Office Building, the Dental Clinic, the IAP Building, the Indian Health Service, the General Administration Building, and the Independent Agencies Building, also known as the Mound. The Mound is modeled after an earthen lodge built by our people centuries ago in Georgia. Many Creek youth excel in sports, softball, basketball, track, and rodeo. Indian youth and adults get a chance to participate in these events and more during the annual Creek Nation Festival. Thousands converge on Ocmulgee each year during the third weekend in June for fun, food, and recreation. Athletic competition is a key ingredient, including the Creek Nation All-Indian Rodeo. Another important annual event at the Stomp Grounds is the stickball game. This ancient game, known as the Little Brother of War, was once played between tribal towns to settle disputes and to improve the stamina and skill of the warriors. For over 100 years, the church has also played a key part in maintaining the strength of Creek communities. Over 70 little country churches, mostly tucked away from the outside world, provide guidance, comfort, and strength to the people. Creek hymns praise God in the Muscogee tongue. This, too, is a time of renewal and thanksgiving, fellowship and feasting, a time to reflect on the blessings of God and strengthen family and community bonds. To face the future, the Muscogee must remain strong in our hearts, and in our minds, and in our communities. For in our veins flows the blood of the Muscogee. This common bond will sustain us and unify us now and far into the future.
Barley found the nightlight, and morning found a fool. Learning all them lessons, boy, you never learned in school. He's looking for an angel like the one he left behind. And she's a diamond in his heart. He prays there'll come a time. But they're few and far between. They're like blessings never seen. They're like visions in a dream. And they're few and far between. The neon signs are flashing on them cocktail halls and bars, drawing all them midnight ladies and all them other stars. But he has no destination as he rides that midnight train, looking for some stranger's face or someone else to blame. But they're few and far between. They're like blessings never seen. They're like visions in a dream. And they're few and far between. Sunday morning answers as he reaches for the phone, wishing you were here with me, or I was there at home. But the road is long and narrow, and the mountains hard to climb. But true love will never die through the ends of time. But they're few and far between. They're like blessings never seen. They're like visions in a dream. And they're few and far between.
Thank you so much for joining us for Heartbeat Alaska, Native News and Native Entertainment. And in honor of Russian Orthodox Christmas, which is celebrated on January 7th, the Aleutian Pribilof Islands staff will sing a Russian hymn just for you. God bless you. Have a fabulous week. Send me video, and we'll see you again next week. That was blessed. That was truly blessed. Where's the star?
The heartbeat louder